Long before cities rose and kings ruled, the African Sand people lived, their lives as ancient as the earth itself. They wandered the vast plains of southern Africa, in tune with the rhythms of the natural world. The San were the oldest known human race, and their knowledge of the land and its creatures was unmatched. Among these people were two young friends, Nala and Kato. Nala's eyes sparkled with curiosity, while Kato's heart brimmed with a deep love for learning. Together, they would embark on a journey to uncover the secrets their ancestors had passed down through the ages, secrets that had allowed their people to thrive for thousands of years.
Kato, look at the sky. It's like the earth is singing a lullaby to the sun as it falls asleep.
And soon, the stars will take over. Grandmother says they've guided our people for as long as anyone can remember, leading us through the darkest nights.
The Sand people lived as part of the land, never apart from it. They believed that the earth spoke through every living thing, the wind, the rivers, the trees, even the stars twinkling high above. Every whisper of the breeze, every ripple in the water held meaning. To the sun, nothing was lifeless. Everything was alive, connected in a delicate balance. Nala and Kato had heard these stories many times before, as they gathered with their elders, but tonight would be different. Tonight, they would hear something even older, more sacred, a tale that stretched back to the very beginning of time itself, when the earth was still young and the stars were first born. As darkness falls, the children make their way back to the village. A warm fire crackles in the center of the gathering, casting flickering shadows across the faces of the elders. The air is filled with the scent of burning wood and the distant smoke from cooking fires. Nala and Kato take their places among the other children, eager for the story that is about to unfold. Grandmother Imani, the village elder, sits with a serene presence. Her weathered hands, which had shaped countless tools and held generations of stories, rest on her lap. Her eyes, though old, sparkle with the wisdom of countless ages.
Children, tonight we speak of our ancestors, the first people to walk this land when the world was young. Long before the rivers carved their paths through the earth, before the great herds of animals roamed freely, our ancestors were here.
The children fall silent, their wide eyes reflecting the flames, captivated by the elders' words.
Do you think they lived like us? Did they know the land like we do?
Maybe they knew even more. They lived in a world untouched by time.
Grandmother Imani's voice deepens, and the flames of the fire seem to rise, as if responding to her story.
Ah, Kato, our ancestors knew the ways of survival that we can only dream of. They spoke to the animals without words, and the earth provided for them because they understood how to listen to it. They did not hunt out of greed, nor did they take more than they needed. The animals were not just prey, but brothers. The land was not merely dirt beneath their feet, but a mother that nurtured them.
The Sand people revered the land, holding it in the highest regard. They believed in the spirit of every living thing, trees that whispered ancient secrets, animals that shared the land as equals, and the very wind that swept across the vast plains, carrying messages from unseen realms. To the San, every act of life, from the careful hunt to the sacred harvest, was a graceful dance with the earth itself, a delicate harmony between humans and nature. Their survival depended not on conquering or bending the land to their will, but on understanding it, respecting it, and becoming one with its rhythms and seasons. The night air grew cooler as the vast blanket of stars stretched across the sky, each point of light twinkling like an ancient storyteller sharing a secret. The village fire flickered, casting soft, golden light over the gathered children, illuminating their curious faces. Above them, the stars shimmered, silent witnesses to countless generations of sand journeys, guiding their ancestors across deserts and plains. The fire crackled softly, as if in rhythm with Grandmother Imani's words, her voice now low and mystical. drawing the children deeper into the sacred stories of the past. Asterisk. Grandmother Imani's voice lowered, as though she was unlocking a memory passed down from soul to soul, from one generation to the next.
There was a time when the land changed, when the rains became scarce, and the animals moved further away. But our ancestors did not fear. They watched the sky, they listened to the wind, and they followed the stars. For they knew that the stars would always lead them to water, to shelter, and to life.
As grandmother spoke, Kato's heart raced with excitement. He could almost see it. The first sand people walking through the endless plains, their feet light on the earth, their eyes fixed on the same stars that now twinkled above him. He imagined them, their backs straight with purpose, their spirits in tune with the sky, trusting that the land itself would speak to them through the whispers of the wind and the alignment of the stars. Kato leaned forward, his eyes wide, captivated by the vision that danced in his mind. The fire's warmth against his skin contrasted with the cool night breeze, making the moment feel both real and dreamlike.
Do you think we could do that, Nala? Follow the stars like they did? Walk where they walked?
Now, usually so full of words and questions, fell silent for a moment, her gaze drifting up toward the shimmering sky. The stars seemed to twinkle just for her, as if acknowledging her wonder. She thought of the deep wisdom her people carried, passed through stories, songs, and quiet moments, around fires like this. Their ancestors had not only survived but thrived, guided by something greater than themselves, a harmony with the world that she and Kato were just beginning to understand.
Maybe one day. But first, we have to learn how to listen like they did. Grandmother says the earth speaks if we are quiet enough to hear.
The fire crackled in agreement, its warm glow flickering against the shadows. The night seemed alive. Every rustle of leaves, every distant call of an animal, and every whisper of the wind felt more significant. The stars above, vast and ancient, had watched over generations of sun as they made their way through the mysteries of the land. The children huddled closer to the fire as a cold breeze swept through the village, carrying with it the scent of distant rains and the promise of wisdom yet to be uncovered.
Yes, Nala, the earth does speak. And those who listen can hear its voice in the song of the birds, the rustling of the leaves, and the soft patter of rain. That is how our ancestors survived. They listened to the earth and walked in harmony with it. That is their greatest gift to us.
Her words hung in the air like an ancient melody, delicate and powerful. The children sat quietly, imagining the strength it took to walk through a land so vast, so unknown, with nothing but the stars and the songs of the earth as their guide. The thought both humbled and inspired them, as they realized that the same land, the same stars, and the same wisdom were still there, waiting for them to learn how to listen. Later that night, after the fire has dimmed and the village has settled into a peaceful quiet, Nala and Kato lie on their backs, gazing up at the stars. The vast sky stretches endlessly above them, filled with a million points of light.
It feels like the stars are watching us, Kato. Do you think they're the same stars our ancestors followed?
Yes, I think so. And maybe one day we'll follow them too, and discover things no one else has seen.
The stars had guided the Sand People for thousands of years, their twinkling light leading them across vast deserts and endless plains, illuminating the way when all else seemed uncertain or lost. To Nal and Kato, the stars were more than just distant points of light scattered across the sky. They were ancient companions, silent watchers over the journeys of their people. They were the same stars that had shone down on their ancestors, mapping their path through the deep mysteries of the earth, and whispering promises of guidance, safety, and home in the night stillness. And so, the ancient ways of the sand lived on, carried in the hearts of the children. The stories of their ancestors were not just tales of the past, but lessons for the future. A reminder that the earth was their home and its spirits their guides. As the flames of the village fire died down, the spirit of the San remained, as strong and enduring as the stars above. The San people were known not just for their harmony with the land, but also for their incredible ability to track animals with unmatched precision. For centuries, they had walked side by side with the creatures of the earth, studying their movements, understanding their behavior, and reading the landscape as if it were a language only they could speak. The San did not hunt for sport, they hunted for survival, guided by a deep respect for the animals they pursued and the natural balance of life. Today, Nala and Kato were about to witness these ancient skills in action, a rite of passage for any young San, and a day they had been eagerly awaiting with excitement and wonder. The early morning light bathed the vast grasslands in a golden hue, casting long shadows that danced as the wind stirred the tall blades. The air was cool, still clinging to the remnants of night, but the promise of heat lingered on the horizon. Every inch of the land seemed alive, breathing with the rhythms of nature. Nala and Kato, walking softly behind Kato's father, Tao, felt the quiet energy of the plains beneath their feet. The earth seemed to respond to Tao's presence, as though recognizing a kindred spirit, someone who understood its secrets. His movements were fluid, deliberate, as if he had walked this path 100 times before. The children, though eager, sensed the sacredness of the moment and moved with care.
Kato, do you think we'll see a kudu or maybe even a springbok today?
I hope so. My father says the land speaks to those who listen. Every footprint, every broken twig tells a story, and we're about to learn how to read it.
The landscape around them seemed to hum with life, the distant chirping of birds, the soft rustling of leaves in the trees, the gentle swaying of the grass as the wind whispered through it. Tao, Sobo, always aware of his surroundings, suddenly stopped. His hand raised, signaling the children to halt. In an instant, the energy shifted. The wild felt closer now, as if the earth itself was holding its breath. Nala and Kato stood still, feeling the weight of the silence settle around them. The world seemed sharper now, more vivid.
To be a good tracker, you must first become part of the earth itself. Quiet your heart, still your breath, and listen. The land will speak to you if you are patient.
For a moment, the children were mesmerized by Tao's stillness, as though he had become one with the earth, listening to its silent song. They too closed their eyes, allowing the world around them to come alive in a different way. It was as if the sounds they had once taken for granted now carried meaning. The soft rustling of the grass, the distant calls of birds, the faint scurry of tiny creatures underfoot. The longer they stood in silence, the clearer the world became, until they heard it. Faint footsteps, almost too quiet to notice, but unmistakable.
I hear the wind and footsteps.
Good, Nala. What you hear is a herd of springbok, moving swiftly. Now let's see if we can find them.
As they walked, it felt as if they were part of something greater. The San had always known that the land was alive, that it spoke in ways that only those attuned to its rhythms could hear. Today, Nala and Kato had begun to understand the first whisperings of the land's language. They moved with purpose now, not just as observers, but as participants in the ancient dance between nature and humankind. Every sound, every breath of wind seemed to tell a story, guiding them closer to the springbok herd that moved unseen ahead. The sun rose higher in the sky as they walked, the heat beginning to settle over the landscape. The earth beneath their feet felt alive, and every blade of grass seemed to hold a secret. Tao moved slowly, his eyes scanning the ground with the focus of a hawk. Asterisk. He knelt down suddenly, he used his fingers tracing the edges of a faint set of hoofprints in the dirt. The children hurried to his side, watching with awe as Tao studied the marks left behind.
Look closely, children. These tracks are fresh, perhaps only a few hours old. See how sharp the edges are? This springbok was moving quickly, likely startled by something.
His voice was calm, as though he had done this 1,000 times before.
his brow furrowed in concentration, trying to see what his father saw.
See how deep the prints are? The springbok was running, and notice how the grass is bent in that direction. It shows us which way it fled. The land speaks to us in many ways. We just have to know how to listen.
The sand's ability to track animals was unmatched, honed over countless generations. They had developed an instinct for reading the smallest, seemingly insignificant details. The way a blade of grass was bent, the angle of a broken twig, or the barely perceptible shifts in the behavior of birds and insects. Every whisper of the landscape held meaning to the San. These clues, though invisible to many, painted a vivid picture in their minds, revealing the animal's path. It was not just about following a trail, it was about understanding the mind of the animal, anticipating its next move, and knowing with precision when to strike and when to wait in stillness. Hours passed as they followed the trail, the sun climbing higher in the sky, casting a warm glow over the plains. Despite the heat, Tao moved steadily, his gaze never wavering from the path ahead. Nala and Kato, though tired, were determined to keep up. They had learned that patience was the key to a successful hunt. Asterisk, as they moved through a small grove of acacia trees, Tao suddenly stopped. His eyes narrowing, he held up a hand, signaling for the children to stay still. Daosui,
They're just ahead. Do you see the movement in the grass?
I see it. It's so close.
This is it, Nala. We're about to see the Sandway.
the hunt for the Sand People was far more than a mere pursuit of food. It was a sacred ritual, a delicate dance between predator and prey, where both played their part in the circle of life. They never took more than they needed, understanding that to do so would disrupt the fragile balance of the land. Every springbok, every kudu was seen as a generous gift from the earth itself, and the San honored that gift with deep gratitude and reverence. Each animal was respected, its spirit acknowledged through ritual, as the San approached every hunt with humility, knowing that they were sustained by the bounty of nature. Tao crouched low, his eyes locked on the springbok. He raised his hand again, signaling the children to stay back. As he moved silently through the grass, his body seemed to melt into the landscape, becoming one with the earth around him. Nala and Kato watched with bated breath, their hearts pounding in their chests. Every movement Tao made was deliberate, precise. He was a shadow in the grass, unseen and unheard. To the San, hunting was not merely a display of skill or strength. It was an act deeply rooted in respect and reverence for all life. They believed that the spirit of the animal continued to live on, even after its physical body was taken, merging back into the vast cycle of nature. Every hunt was approached with gratitude, as the San recognized that they were taking a life to sustain their own. A successful hunt was never viewed as a victory over nature or dominance over the animals. Instead, it was seen as a harmonious exchange, a sacred balance where one life was given so that another might be nourished and preserved. The earth provided, and they accepted with humility.
Not today.
Asterisk, confused, Nala and Kato approached him as he led them back to the path.
Father, why didn't you strike? You were so close.
The wind turned, and the springbok sensed me. To take its life now would be to dishonor the hunt. We must always respect the balance, Kato. The earth gives us what we need, and today, the springbok spirit remains free. Another day, we will have our chance.
And so, Nala and Kato learned the most important lesson of the hunt. Not just how to track, but how to respect the delicate balance of life that governed all living things. The Sand People knew they were not masters of the land, but part of its sacred cycle, woven into its fabric like threads in a tapestry. They understood that the earth would continue to provide for them as long as they lived in harmony with its natural rhythms and cycles. The hunt was never a conquest or a demonstration of power. It was a partnership, a sacred exchange, a ritual dance between life and death, survival and respect. Every animal taken was a gift, every step in the hunt a reminder of their place in the grand circle of life, where both predator and prey were part of a shared destiny. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the sand village came alive in a different way. The night wasn't just for rest, it was for celebration, healing, and connection with the unseen forces of the world. The sand's trance dance was an ancient and sacred ritual. It wasn't merely a performance, it was a bridge between the physical world and the spiritual realm. Through this dance, the Sand People could connect with the spirits of the land, the animals, and the ancestors. Tonight, Nala and Kato would witness the power of this tradition, feeling the beat of the earth beneath their feet as the dancers called upon forces that existed beyond the visible. The village hummed with anticipation as night fell, the warm glow of the central fire flickering against the backdrop of an indigo sky. Above them, stars dotted the heavens like distant ancestors, twinkling with the wisdom of the ages. The night air was thick with energy, as if the very earth beneath them was preparing for something sacred. The rhythmic sound of drums pulsed steadily through the village, a heartbeat that called every living being to the gathering. It was more than just a sound, it was the lifeblood of the night, pulling the villagers together for a ritual as old as time. Nala and Kato stood at the edge of the gathering, eyes wide with wonder, their hearts pounding in sync with the drums.
Tonight's the trance dance. I can't wait to see it.
Nala's excitement mirrored the energy buzzing in the air. The trance dance wasn't just a performance, it was a portal, a way to connect with the spirits that guided the Sand People. It was said that through the rhythm of the dance, the dancers became one with the land, the animals, and the ancestors. This night wasn't just any night. It was special, and Nala could feel the weight of its importance. The ground beneath her seemed to hum, as if alive with the anticipation of what was to come. Kato stood beside her, his eyes sparkling with curiosity. The stories of the trance dance had always fascinated him, but tonight, he would witness it with his own eyes. The excitement and nervousness in his chest grew with every beat of the drum.
They say the dance helps our people talk to the spirits of the animals and even the stars. Do you think we'll feel them tonight? The stories they had heard, of dancers connecting with spirits, of ancestors whispering through the stars, were not just tales meant to entertain. For the Sand People, these stories were real, part of the lifeblood of their existence. The dance was a bridge between the physical and spiritual worlds, a way to seek wisdom, healing, and protection. Kato's mind raced with the possibility of feeling that connection, of truly understanding what it meant to be part of something so much greater than himself. As they spoke, the soft jingle of bells drew their attention. Elder Nuru, the village healer, approached them with slow, purposeful steps, her staff decorated with tiny bells that jingled softly with every movement. Her weathered face, etched with the wisdom of many years, was serene, her eyes twinkling with knowledge and kindness.
Yes, children. Tonight you will witness more than just a dance. It is how we heal our souls, how we call upon the spirits of the earth, the wind, and the stars. Through the dance, we remember that we are never alone. The ancestors are with us, guiding us, always.
Elder Nuru's presence seemed to calm the air around them. Her words were not just instruction, they were a reminder of the sacred connection the Sand People had with the earth and the spirits that walked beside them. The trance dance wasn't just about movement, it was about remembrance. Through the dance, they called upon their ancestors, seeking their wisdom and protection, while offering their own gratitude in return. The earth, the wind, the stars. They were all connected, and tonight, that connection would come alive. Nala and Kato exchanged excited glances, their hearts racing in unison. This was not just another night. It was a night where they would witness the power of their people, a night where the veil between the physical and spiritual worlds would lift. The flickering firelight cast a warm glow on their faces as they stood, knowing that what they were about to experience would stay with them forever. As the elders continued their preparations, the drums grew louder, more insistent, filling the air with their steady rhythm. The sound seemed to vibrate through the ground, through Nala and Kato, and into the sky above. The night felt charged with energy, as if the very spirits they sought to call upon were already gathering, waiting for the dance to begin. And as the stars twinkled above, Nala and Kato felt a sense of anticipation that was almost overwhelming. Tonight, they would not just be witnesses, they would be participants in a ritual as old as the stars themselves. The trance dance was more than just a dance. It was a sacred invitation to the spirits, a beckoning to the unseen forces that lived beyond the veil of the physical world. The Sand People believed that through the steady rhythm of the drums and the fluid movements of the body, the dancers could enter a trance-like state where they could communicate directly with the earth itself, seeking guidance, protection, and healing for their people. This ancient and powerful tradition had been passed down for countless generations, and tonight, Nala and Kato would witness its transformative power firsthand, feeling the presence of forces far greater than themselves.
Spirits of the earth, spirits of the wind, we call upon you. Guide us, heal us, protect us.
Her words were like a spell, drawing the energy of the night towards the circle of dancers. The drummers began to play, their hands striking the drums with slow, deliberate beats that seemed to sync with the heartbeat of the earth.
It's starting, can you feel it?
Yes, I feel it. It's like the earth is breathing with us.
The trance dance was a sacred connection between the physical and spiritual worlds, a ritual that blurred the boundaries between the seen and unseen. As the dancers moved, they entered a state of heightened awareness, their bodies becoming vessels for the ancient spirits they called upon. Each step, each graceful sway, and every beat of the drum was a living prayer, a plea sent up to the heavens and down to the earth. It was a call for guidance, healing, and the protection of their people. The San believed that through the trance, the dancers could communicate directly with the earth itself, and in return, the earth would offer its wisdom, its secrets, and its blessings to those who listened. Nala and Kato watched, mesmerized, as the dancers' movements became faster, their feet striking the ground with more intensity. The drums matched their pace, the rhythm growing more urgent, more powerful.
It's like they're one with the earth. Look how they move. I've never seen anything like it.
They're calling the spirits. I can feel it in the air. It's like the stars are listening too.
The trance was reaching its peak. The dancers were now fully immersed, their bodies moving with an otherworldly energy. Their feet stomped, their arms swayed, and their heads tilted toward the sky as if they were receiving messages from the stars above. The fire burned hotter, its flames leaping higher into the air, casting a golden glow across the entire gathering.
Spirits of the land, spirits of the sky, we thank you. Guide us, heal us, bless us.
The trance dance was not just for the dancers, it was for the entire village. The energy they created together was meant to heal the land, protect the people, and bring balance to the world around them. It was a moment when the Sand people remembered that they were not separate from the earth or the sky, but part of a larger, interconnected whole.
I think I understand now. The dance, it's not just movement. It's a way of speaking to the earth.
Yes, and the earth is answering us.
As the dance continued, the connection between the Sand people and the spirits of the earth grew stronger. This ancient ritual, passed down through generations, was a reminder that they were never alone. The spirits walked with them, guiding their steps, and through the trance dance, they could hear the whispers of the wind, the voices of the stars, and the wisdom of the ancestors. It was a sacred dance, one that would continue for as long as the earth remained beneath their feet. As the seasons turned, so did the world around the Sand people. The once familiar landscape began to change. The rains that once nourished the land came less often, and the animals they hunted grew scarcer. But despite these challenges, the Sand people remained deeply connected to their ancient ways. Their bond with the earth and the wisdom passed down through generations anchored them through uncertainty. They knew that as long as they carried the knowledge of their ancestors, they could survive anything. Nala and Kato, the youngest of their people, would soon learn that change was inevitable, but their strength lay in the traditions and spirit that lived on within them. The morning air was cool and crisp as Nala and Kato sat in a small clearing beneath a large baobab tree. The branches, twisted and ancient, stretched out like the arms of their ancestors watching over them. Elder Nuru, seated on a woven mat, watched the children with wise eyes, her weathered hands resting in her lap. The sky above was clear, and the early sun bathed the earth in a soft, golden glow.
The world is always changing, children. Just as the seasons shift, so too does the land and the way we live. But while the world around us may change, our roots run deep.
But how do we protect what we know when everything around us is changing? How can we hold on to the old ways when the land is different?
Her voice carried the anxiety of uncertainty, her heart yearning to understand. Elder Nuru smiled gently, her eyes softening as she looked at the two young ones before her. She had lived through many changes herself and knew that this was a question that each generation would ask.
By remembering who we are the children of the earth. The land speaks to us and the spirits guide us as they have always done. If we listen closely, we will never lose our way. The knowledge of our ancestors is a gift that cannot be taken by time or change. It is up to you to carry it forward.
The Sand People had witnessed many changes over the thousands of years. Shifts in the land, in the weather, and in the ways of the world. Yet their bond with the earth remained as constant and enduring as the stars in the night sky, guiding them through every challenge. This sacred connection, passed down through their stories, dances, and rituals, gave them the strength to endure whatever came their way. Nala and Kato would one day inherit this responsibility, to safeguard this ancient wisdom and pass it down to future generations, ensuring that the spirit of the San people would continue to thrive, no matter how the world around them changed or what the future held. Later that afternoon, the heat of the sun pressed down gently on the wide expanse of the plains. The grasses swayed softly in the warm breeze, their golden tips glistening under the high sun. Nala and Kato wandered through the tall grass, their bare feet whispering against the earth with each step. There was a deep stillness in the air, a calm that wrapped around them like a blanket. Yet beneath this peace, both could sense the subtle shifts in the land, the quiet changes that their people had spoken of, changes that whispered of a future unknown. The acacia trees dotted the horizon, their crooked branches stretching skyward, casting long shadows that danced with the wind. Overhead, the occasional bird soared lazily, its silhouette drifting across the plains. The Sand People had always described the earth as living, breathing, and connected to every creature that walked upon it. The land was not just a place to live, it was a presence, a heartbeat that tied them all together. Nao felt that now as her hand rested against the earth, the faint echo of life beneath her skin. She closed her eyes for a moment, listening to the quiet hum that seemed to rise from the ground itself, a rhythm that had guided her ancestors for generations.
Do you think the spirits still walk with us, Kato? Even when the land changes like this?
The changes in the land weighed heavily on her heart. The grass wasn't as tall as it once was, and the animals were harder to find. She wondered if the spirits, those who had guided her people for so long, still walked beside them. Had the earth changed so much that even the ancestors could no longer walk the same path?
I think so. Elder Nuru says they're always with us, guiding us. Maybe the land is changing because the spirits want to show us something new, something we haven't learned yet.
His voice carried a quiet determination, though uncertainty lingered beneath it. He wanted to believe in the stories, in the connection they had with their ancestors, but the changes around him made it hard to hold on to that belief. Kato's words echoed through the stillness, carrying with them a sense of hope. Perhaps the land wasn't just changing because it was moving away from them. Perhaps it was guiding them towards something they had yet to discover, a lesson hidden within the shifting earth. The ancestors had always been there, walking beside them in silence, offering their wisdom through the movements of the wind, the call of the birds, and the sway of the grasses. Perhaps now, more than ever, the spirits were calling them to listen more closely, to see beyond what was visible and to trust the land's subtle signs. Nal smiled softly at Kato's words, feeling a sense of comfort settle within her. Maybe he was right. Maybe the spirits were still there, waiting for them to understand a new way of walking the earth. She stood up, brushing the dirt from her hands, and the two continued to walk, their steps light, in rhythm with the land beneath them. As they walked, the connection between them and the earth became more tangible. Every footstep felt like part of a larger rhythm, a song that stretched back through the generations, tying them to their ancestors and to the land. The future was uncertain, but Nala and Kato knew they were not alone. The spirits of their people, the wisdom of the earth, and the stories passed down through the ages would guide them forward. The land may change, but their connection to it, and to those who came before, remained unbroken. Nala looked over at Kato, her heart lighter now, as they moved in sync with the rhythm of the earth. The future lay before them, vast and unknown, but together they would face it, guided by the spirits, by the land, and by the legacy of the San people. As the evening began to settle in, Nala and Kato stood at the edge of the village, watching the sun dip low on the horizon. The sky was painted in soft hues of orange and pink, and the vast plains seemed to glow under the fading light. The air was warm, but there was a gentle breeze that carried with it the familiar scent of the earth, rich soil, dry grass, and the distant hint of smoke from the village fire. They stood in silence for a moment, side by side, feeling the warmth of the sun on their faces and the steady pulse of the earth beneath their feet. In that moment, they felt connected, not just to each other, but to everything that had come before and everything that would come after.
We will keep our traditions alive, Nala. Just like Elder Nuru said, no matter what changes, we'll carry our people's wisdom forward.
Yes, we will. For our people and for the land. We owe it to them, to all those who came before us and all those who will come after.
As the sun set and the horizon glowed with the promise of a new day, Nala and Kato stood at the threshold of a future shaped by both change and tradition. They understood, with growing clarity, that they were part of something far greater than themselves, a legacy that spanned countless generations, flowing like an unbroken river through time. The wisdom of their ancestors would be their guiding light, just as the stars had led their people through the vast plains and deserts for thousands of years. Though the land around them might shift and evolve, the spirit of the San people would endure, living on in the hearts of those who remembered the old ways and who listened carefully to the earth's quiet, ancient whisper. In that whisper, they would find the strength and knowledge to face whatever the future held. The stars began to twinkle in the darkening sky, just as they had for millennia, watching over the San people as they continued their journey through life. Nala and Kato sat by the fire, their minds filled with the lessons of the day. The crackling flames sent up sparks that danced into the night, joining the stars above. They shared a quiet moment, knowing that the future might bring new challenges, but also feeling the unshakable strength that came from their traditions. The stories, the dances, and the wisdom of their ancestors would always be there, a guiding force as they moved forward into the unknown.
We will carry the stories with us, always.
And the land will remember.
And so, the story of the San people continued, passed lovingly from one generation to the next, like the steady flow of water shaping the landscape. Though the world around them shifted, rivers changing course, the land growing drier, and the animals becoming harder to find, the spirit of the San remained deeply rooted in the earth, as steadfast as the mountains and as eternal as the sky. Their connection to the land was woven into the very fabric of the soil, the wind and the stars above. No matter how much time passed or how the land evolved, their footsteps would continue to echo through the sands of time, carried on the wind, whispering their legacy to those who came after, ensuring their story, their wisdom, and their way of life would never be forgotten.